All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. We always try to tackle some complex topics on this show, and today is no different.
It's going to be a good one. I can already tell.
Yeah, I think so too. Um, so we're going to be talking about banks today, the banking system in particular. What happens to your money after you deposit it? I think we all kind of have a vague idea.
Sure.
You put money in, you take money out, you can use your debit card, whatever.
Yeah, the surface level stuff.
But have you ever really thought about what happens to that money in between?
Right.
When it's just sitting there in your account, what is the bank doing with it?
Yeah, it's not just sitting there collecting dust, that's for sure.
Well, that's what we're going to be exploring today.
Absolutely.
And, we did some research, obviously.
Of course, tons of it.
Went through a lot of articles, reports, all that good stuff.
Yeah, got to be thorough.
Exactly. And I think what's really interesting is that, the banking system seems really simple on the surface.
It does. You just go in, deposit, take out some cash. Yeah. But behind the scenes, it's actually incredibly complex.
It's like this whole hidden world almost.
It really is. And it's fascinating how it all works. And I think for a lot of people, it can be kind of intimidating too, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, those terms and conditions.
Don't even get me started on those.
Pages and pages of legalese. I mean, who actually reads all that stuff?
I try to. I really do, but it's tough.
It's like a foreign language almost.
It is. And that's kind of the point, I think.
To keep us in the dark.
Well, maybe not intentionally, but it definitely has that effect.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most of us just click accept without even thinking about it.
Oh, yeah. Guilty is charged.
But that's why we're here today.
To break it all down.
To demystify the banking system and, empower you, the listener.
That's right.
To make more informed decisions about your money.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, it's your money.
Yeah.
You should know what's happening with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of knowing what's happening, one of the core concepts that we came across in our research is this idea that banks act as intermediaries.
Right.
Between those who have money and those who need money.
The classic depositors and borrowers.
Exactly. And, on the surface, that seems pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
But when you really think about the implications of that,
It gets interesting.
It gets really interesting because it means that the money you deposit into your bank account, it's not just sitting there idle.
No way.
The bank is actually putting it to work.
They're putting it to work for sure.
And that's where things start to get a little bit more complex.
Definitely. Because they're not just giving it away, they're lending it out.
Exactly.
And that's how they make money.
So it's like they're using our money to make more money.
Well, in a way, yes.
And we get a small cut of that in the form of interest.
Exactly. The interest you earn on your savings account, that's a tiny little piece of the pie.
But it's still something, right?
It is. It's better than nothing.
And it's actually kind of cool when you think about it.
I think so too.
That your money is potentially helping someone else achieve their financial goals.
Yeah, like a small business owner getting a loan to expand their business.
Or family buying their first home.
Exactly. It's all interconnected.
And that's what makes the banking system so fascinating to me.
It really is this intricate web that connects us all.
Yeah. And, before we get too deep into the weeds here,
Yeah.
I do want to take a quick moment to thank all of our incredible listeners.
Yes.
For tuning in to another deep dive.
We appreciate you.
Producing these episodes takes a lot of time and effort.
A lot of research, a lot of back and forth.
Exactly. And your support by subscribing to the channel.
Makes all the difference.
It really does. It allows us to keep bringing you these insightful conversations.
Absolutely.
Helps us grow this amazing community.
And keep lights on, let's be honest.
Yeah, too. So if you haven't already,
hit that subscribe button.
It's a small act that makes a huge difference.
Huge.
So thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you.
Now let's get back to uncovering the mysteries of the banking world.
All right, let's dive back in.
And one of the biggest mysteries, for me at least, has always been those dreaded terms and conditions.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
I mean, we've all been there, right?
Scrolling.
Just wanting to get to that accept button.
Yeah, just click it and get it over with.
But those documents, they actually hold some key insights.
They do. They really do.
Into how banks operate and what rights we have as customers.
It's all in there somewhere, buried in that legalese.
It's like a secret code we need to decipher.
Exactly. And it's worth taking the time to try to understand it.
But where do we even begin?
Well, I think one of the first things to look for are the fees associated with your account.
Okay.
These can range from monthly maintenance fees
right.
to overdraft charges, ATM withdrawal fees.
Oh, yeah, those pesky ATM fees.
They get you every time.
I know. I've definitely been caught off guard by those before.
Me too. It's like a hidden tax almost.
It really is. And you know what's frustrating is that it feels like they're always coming up with new fees.
Oh, yeah. It's like a never-ending cycle.
So it's important to understand how these fees can impact your balance.
Absolutely.
And what steps you can take to minimize them.
Because those little fees, they add up over time.
They really do.
It's like death by 1,000 cuts.
Okay, so fees, that's one thing to watch out for.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else we should be on the lookout for in that fine print?
Definitely another crucial section outlines the bank's lending practices.
Okay.
This will give you insights into the types of loans they offer,
Right.
their interest rates, and even their criteria for approving borrowers.
So we can actually see where our deposited money might end up.
In a way, yes.
Interesting.
You might find that the bank prioritizes lending to certain industries
Okay.
or has specific policies regarding sustainable financing
Oh, that's interesting.
or community development.
Wow. So it's not just about making money for the bank.
Not necessarily.
They're actually using our money to support certain causes or initiatives.
Potentially,
Yeah.
yes.
That's pretty impactful.
It means our deposits aren't just numbers on a screen.
Right.
They're potentially contributing to the growth of businesses and projects that align with the bank's values.
I like that.
Me too. It gives you a sense of agency almost.
Yeah, that you're not just passively handing over your money.
Right, you're actually participating in something bigger.
And that brings us to another important aspect outlined in the terms and conditions.
Okay.
The bank's data privacy policies.
Ah, yes. The big data question.
Because in today's digital age, banks collect a vast amount of information about us.
They do. It's kind of scary when you think about it.
It is our spending habits, transaction history.
Even our online behavior.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah, they're tracking all of that.
I didn't realize they were tracking all of that. What do they do with all that information?
Well, that's what the terms and conditions should outline. Yeah. How the bank can use and share your data. They might use it for internal purposes like risk assessment and fraud prevention.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or they might share it with third-party partners for marketing or other services.
So it's important to pay attention to those details.
Absolutely.
Understand how our financial data is being handled.
Because once it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah, there's no taking it back.
Exactly. So it's all about being an informed consumer.
Right.
Making conscious choices about where you bank.
And how you manage your finances.
Exactly. You're in control.
This is fascinating stuff.
It is, isn't it?
I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this complex world.
Oh, yeah, we've just begun to peel back the layers.
There's so much more to uncover.
So much more. For example, have you ever noticed those disclaimers about the FDIC?
Oh, yeah, the FDIC.
The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation.
Right. I vaguely remember seeing that somewhere.
Yeah, it's usually in the fine print.
In the fine print with everything else.
Exactly.
I know it's supposed to protect my money somehow, but...
It's a crucial safety net for depositors.
Okay, so like what does that actually mean?
Well, basically, the FDIC insures your deposits up to a certain amount.
Okay.
Typically, it's around $250,000 per depositor.
Oh, wow.
Per insured bank.
So if the bank goes belly up,
Exactly.
my money is still safe.
Up to that limit, yes.
Okay, that's good to
So
know.
you don't have to worry about your hard-earned savings disappearing overnight.
Right.
If something goes wrong with the bank.
That's a huge relief.
It is. It's one of those things you hope you never have to use.
Right.
But it's incredibly valuable peace of mind.
Yeah, definitely makes me feel a lot better about keeping my money in a bank.
It should.
But it sounds like there's a lot more to consider
There is.
than just FDIC insurance when choosing where to bank.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, what else should we be thinking about?
Well, while the FDIC provides that basic protection,
Okay,
it's essential to look beyond that
right.
and consider factors that directly impact your financial well-being.
So, like, what kind of factors?
Well, think about the fees we discussed earlier.
The fees, right?
Some banks have much higher fees than others.
Yeah, that's true.
And those can really eat into your balance over time.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that.
It's like a slow bleed.
It is. You don't even realize it's happening sometimes.
Exactly. And then there's interest rates.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously, you want to earn as much interest as possible on your savings.
Right. Maximize those returns.
Exactly. But different banks offer different interest rates.
Right. Of course.
So it's worth shopping around and comparing.
So it's not just about finding the bank with the lowest fees.
No.
It's about finding the right balance.
Exactly. You want to find the best overall value.
Right. The best bang for your buck.
Exactly.
Okay. So fees, interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Well, think about the types of loans the bank offers.
Oh, yeah. Loans.
Are you looking to buy a home?
Maybe.
Or start a business?
Potentially.
Well, you'll want to compare loan options and interest rates from different banks.
Okay, so do your research, basically.
Absolutely. Don't just settle for the first bank you come across.
Right.
It's worth taking the time to find the right fit for your needs.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all decision?
No, not at all. It's about finding the best fit for your specific circumstances.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that might involve considering different types of banks.
Different types of banks.
We touched on this briefly earlier.
Right. Retail banks, commercial
Small
banks,
investment banks.
all that stuff. But it's worth diving a little deeper.
Okay, let's do it.
So retail banks are your everyday banks,
Okay.
offering basic services like checking accounts,
Right.
savings accounts, personal
The
loans.
stuff most people use.
Exactly. They're a good option for managing your day-to-day finances.
Makes sense.
Then you have commercial banks.
Commercial banks.
They cater more to businesses,
Okay.
offering services like business loans, lines of credit merchant services.
So if you're a small business owner,
Exactly. You'll probably be dealing with a commercial bank.
got it.
And then there are investment banks. Investment banks, those sound a bit more,
Intimidating.
intimidating.
It can be.
They deal with like big money stuff, right?
They focus on more complex financial transactions,
What?
like underwriting securities, facilitating mergers and acquisitions,
Wow.
providing financial advice to corporations and governments.
So like Wall Street type stuff.
Exactly. They deal with larger sums of money
Makes sense.
and often operate on a global scale.
So unless you're like a major player,
Yeah.
you're probably not going to be interacting with an investment bank.
Probably not.
Okay, so we've got retail banks, commercial banks, investment banks.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how the banking system is structured
It is.
to handle such a wide range of financial needs.
It's a complex ecosystem,
It really is.
but it's designed to meet the needs of everyone.
From individuals to small businesses,
Giant corporations.
and everything in between.
It's all interconnected.
This is making me realize
Yeah.
that there's a lot more to banking than I initially thought. It's not just about depositing and withdrawing money.
No, it's about finding a partner
A partner.
that aligns with your values
Okay,
and helps you achieve your financial goals.
I like that.
It's a relationship.
It is.
You're trusting them with your money.
Right.
So you want to make sure they're a good fit for you.
It's almost like choosing a doctor or a lawyer.
That's a great analogy.
You want someone you can trust
Absolutely.
who has the expertise to guide you in the right direction.
Exactly.
And just like in those professions, there are ethical considerations when it comes to banking.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, some banks have been criticized
Rightly so.
for predatory lending practices
Absolutely.
or for investing in industries that are harmful to the environment or society.
It's a big issue.
It is. So it's not just about finding a bank that's convenient
No.
or offers the best interest rates.
It's about more than that.
It's also about aligning with institutions
Right.
that share your values.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's where concepts like ethical banking and sustainable finance come into play.
Okay, I've heard those terms thrown around before.
Yeah, they're becoming more and more popular.
But honestly, I didn't fully grasp their significance.
Right.
Can you elaborate on what those concepts actually entail?
Sure. So ethical banking, in a nutshell,
Okay.
is about aligning your financial choices with your values.
Okay.
It involves choosing banks that prioritize fair and transparent practices,
Right.
invest in socially responsible projects,
Okay.
and avoid activities that could harm the environment or communities.
So it's like putting your money where your mouth is.
Exactly.
Supporting institutions that reflect your beliefs
Right.
about how businesses should operate.
Absolutely.
I like that.
And sustainable finance goes hand in hand with ethical banking.
Okay.
It focuses on directing investments towards projects and initiatives that promote environmental sustainability.
Like what kind of projects?
Things like renewable energy,
Okay.
clean technology, resource conservation.
So basically investing in a greener future.
Exactly.
I can get behind that.
Me too.
I'm starting to see how these concepts can have a ripple effect.
They can.
By choosing banks that prioritize ethical and sustainable practices, we're collectively supporting a more responsible and sustainable financial system.
That's the idea.
Just like voting with your dollars.
Exactly. You're using your financial power to
Oh.
make a difference.
This is inspiring,
It is.
but I have to admit, it can feel overwhelming.
It can.
Trying to navigate all these different factors when choosing a bank.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Where can listeners go to find more information
Okay.
about ethical banking, sustainable finance, and banks that align with these values?
Well, there are several resources available
Okay.
to help you make informed choices.
Like what kind of resources?
Organizations like the Global Alliance for Banking on Values,
Okay.
or GABV for short,
GABV?
And the Responsible Investment Association, or RIA.
RIA, got it.
They provide rankings and assessments of banks
Okay.
based on their social and environmental performance.
So you can actually see how banks stack up against each other
Exactly.
in terms of their ethical and sustainable practices.
That's right.
That's incredibly helpful.
It is.
I'm sure our listeners will appreciate having those resources at their fingertips.
I hope so.
And are there any other resources you'd recommend?
Yeah, there are also online platforms and databases that allow you to compare banks based on their fees, interest rates, services, and even their track records on ethical and sustainable practices.
Wow, so you can really do your due diligence.
You can.
Before you choose a bank.
Absolutely. It's all about being an informed consumer.
It sounds like there's a whole ecosystem of resources out there.
There is.
To empower us as consumers.
That's right.
And make conscious financial decisions.
Exactly. You have the power.
I love that.
Me too.
Well, this deep dive has been incredibly enlightening.
It has been a good one.
I know I've learned a lot about the inner workings of the banking system.
It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. But before we wrap up,
I
want to circle back to those terms and conditions we talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah, the dreaded fine print.
Are there any other hidden gems we should be aware of? I mean, there's always something lurking in there, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, always something buried in the fine print.
What else should we be watching out for?
Well, one thing that often gets overlooked is how banks handle disputes or errors.
Oh, yeah, disputes.
You know, like if you see an unauthorized transaction on your account.
Right, or if you get charged the wrong amount for something.
Exactly. Those terms and conditions, they'll outline the procedures for resolving those kinds of issues.
So it's like a roadmap.
In a way, yes. It tells you what steps you need to take to get your money back or fix the problem.
So it's important to understand those procedures.
It is, because if something goes wrong,
you need to know what to do.
Exactly. You don't want to be caught off guard.
Right, scrambling to figure things out.
Exactly. You want to be prepared.
And know your rights as a customer.
Absolutely. Because the bank's not always going to do what's best for you.
That's true. They're looking out for their own interests.
Right. So you got to be your own advocate.
And speaking of things that can go wrong.
Oh, boy.
Credit cards.
Ah, yes. The double-edged sword.
They're so convenient.
They are.
But they can also get you into a lot of trouble.
Oh, yeah, if you're not careful.
And those credit card agreements.
Ugh, don't even get me started.
They have their own set of terms and conditions.
Pages and pages of them.
And they're just as dense and confusing as the bank's terms and conditions.
Oh, yeah, if not more so.
So what should we be paying attention to in those credit card agreements?
Well, the big things are the interest rates.
Right.
The grace periods, the fees for late payments. And even the terms for rewards programs.
Rewards programs?
Yeah, you know, those points you earn
right
for using your credit card.
Those can be pretty tempting.
They can.
But it's important to understand the terms and conditions.
It is, because sometimes those rewards come with strings attached.
Like what kind of strings?
Well, there might be restrictions on how you can redeem your points or blackout dates when you can't use them.
Oh, that's annoying.
It is. And sometimes those rewards programs can actually encourage you to spend more money.
Oh, interesting.
Than you normally would.
So it's like a trap.
In a way, yes. So it's important to be mindful of that.
Okay, so bottom line, read the fine print.
Always.
Whether it's your bank's terms and conditions or your credit card agreement.
Don't just click accept without understanding what you're agreeing to.
Good advice.
And you know, at the end of the day, it's all about being an informed consumer.
Absolutely.
Taking control of your finances.
Making conscious decisions.
Exactly. Don't let the banks and credit card companies dictate your financial future.
Well said.
It's your money.
You're in charge.
You have the power.
I love that message.
Me too.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has been.
I know I've learned a lot.
Me too.
About the inner workings of the banking system.
It's a complex world.
It is, but it's important to understand it.
Absolutely.
Because it affects all of us.
Every day.
And a huge thank you to all our amazing listeners.
We appreciate you.
For joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure.
If you found this deep dive valuable,
please consider subscribing to our channel.
It really helps us keep these insightful conversations going.
We couldn't do it without you.
Until next time.
Stay curious.
And keep learning.